to Global Students channel. There is a platform where international students share their experiences and opportunities that are available in their various countries to help other students who would want to study there have enough information to make their decisions. So once again, you are welcome to this channel, Global Students channel. I would love to know much about you, especially your name, your country, and the program you study, and at which level.
Thanks a lot for having me here. Myself, Falit. I'm pursuing my undergrad from St. Stephen's College, University of Delhi, in political science and economics. And talking about India, India is an upcoming, as you can say, an education hub. We have a lot of good public universities and a lot of upcoming private universities as well. Particularly when you talk about India, maximum education here is in the English medium. So for Anglophone countries, that's an advantage. You can get education over here. Plus, education in India is comparatively much cheaper. If you talk about the United States or Europe or other countries, where the quality that is offered is comparative, and in some institutions, I can say even better. So even in the United States or West, it's not that all universities offer the same quality or are that good. So not every university is Harvard or MIT or Stanford. There are a lot of other universities. And I can tell you, so for example, there are a lot of options in India that you can be looking at. Very good option for undergrad in social sciences, etc., is the University of Delhi. What the general process is that you register for a foreign students registry already, where you put in your basic details. So generally, the admission is on the basis of your K to 12 education system, the school education system, the passing marks that you have. And on the basis of that, a cutoff is released. While from this year, there would be CUET, or a Central University Admissions Test, which you'd have to figure out if it's conducted in your country or what's the process exactly about it. But that's how you would be admitted. There's no as such requirement for you to have a very strong English or IELTS or something of a score. But then again, I mean, it's about your marks and how you perform on those texts. Second, I mean, besides good undergrads, what is also available in India is top technical degrees. You can search about the Indian Institute of Technologies, IITs, which are over 30 or 40 IITs in the country. All of them top-notch, provide best educational opportunities, best exposure, best laboratories, experiments, and everything over there. And they're much cheaper, as I can say. It happens to an exam called G mains, or basically, if you're planning for masters, then it's called JAM, Joint Admission Test. And then you prepare for it, and it is conducted in a lot of countries. You appear for the test, and if you succeed in the same, you get into the college. That is it. There's not much requirement of a profile and all those things while you're applying to the institute. And comparatively, I can tell you that the Indian universities are much underrated in comparison to the strength that they have. So if you're looking for foreign education, India can definitely be a space that you might be looking at. We have IITs for engineering, and now they're basically under the new education policy. Even so, earlier India used to have a lot of specialized institutions. For example, the IITs or Indian Institute of Technologies. These are the ones where you have, and for management, we had the IIMs or Indian Institute of Management, which again are the top in their top-notch in their abilities. I can tell you, I mean, a lot of these people who are heading these, the CEO of Google, the CEO of Microsoft, the CEO of MasterCard or Twitter, all these people are from these universities, the IITs and IIMs. So while they might not have started these companies, but you very well know that they're running them. The CEO of MasterCard, Mr. Ajay Banga, is an alumni of my own institution, St. Stephen's College. A lot of our people are just filling up spaces in the World Bank. Most of the Indians will find they're from these good institutions. All top technical companies, you'll find someone or the other from the IITs or IIMs who is working over there either in top managerial positions or top technical positions. So people here from here have made a mark. I mean, you can imagine they're sitting on places where people from Stanford or Harvard or MIT are not able to. The CEO positions, exactly, the trusted professionals, wonderful placements that people do get in. If you plan to start some entrepreneurial exercise, you get a lot of exposure. You can note down the name if you want. The IITs, Indian Institute of Technologies, the IIMs for management, or if you're looking for, say, medical, we have All India Institute of Medical Studies, that's AIMS, that you might be looking at. If you are not able to make it to the IITs, then there are NITs as well. If you're looking at law, then there's National Law Universities, NLUs, which again have a foreign quota, and it's easier for foreign students to get in, because again, the Indian universities are quite underrated in comparison to how they perform. The acceptance rate of these universities for people in India are much lower to anything that Stanford or Harvard or MIT might be offering. So you can imagine it's very tough to get into these universities, for Indians at least. But again, because they are underrated, that I mean, a lot of people from Africa are generally coming in to the IITs to study. Even one of my friends was interacting to, I guess he was in Rwanda, he was interacting to the environment minister or someone, and they had done their PhD from an IIT. So a lot of people are running to have their degrees from these institutions. A lot of head of states, etc., have been educated over here. The amount of exposure that you get, the interaction that you get, and most importantly, at lower cost. Second thing is, again, if you are bounded by the cost issue, the other important factor is the cost of living in India is also quite low. So with the purchasing power parity, you can imagine, even though, the Indian GDP, by nominal GDP, it's around $3 trillion. But when you talk about our GDP by purchasing power parity, that's around $9 trillion. So you can imagine the amount of the cost of living that's quite less when you compare to any Western countries. So if you're looking on ROI, or the return on investment, I can bet you India is the best place that you might be looking at. Now, a lot of good private universities are also coming up. You have Ashoka, which is a top liberal arts universities, and the incoming up and coming science center. Then there's what do you call, the Flames University, the Kriya University. Now we've got for sciences, there's IISc, Indian Institute of Sciences. These are the institutions which are top in their range. You won't find anything better in most of the world. That's my take.
Okay, that's very detailed. Thank you. So what are the intake dates that if I want to study there, I should be looking at to do my application?
So you must be looking at, say, all these institutions have different incoming dates and like admission process. But I guess if you're looking for getting admission into August session, when it begins in August to September, it would be really great if you start looking in from, say, previous August for some institutions. So for example, now it depends. So the law entrance test, it happens twice every year. It happens in December and it happens in May. You can appear either of the times. The IIT exams, it's in 2 stages. You can maybe look at that when it's situated. So it would be really great if you keep your eyes open from the last August. You must decide upon the course or the domain that you're looking at, and then start searching about it. So all these different universities have different process. So for example, if you talk about Delhi University, if you're looking at an undergrad in humanities courses, I mean, the application was open till the 7th of July. So the process was quite delayed this year because of a lot of changes. But then you can expect it to be closed in normal circumstances, maybe by April or May. That's the max it would get delayed in a normal year. So it depends from institution to institution, and again, from the field, most importantly. So if you're looking at technology fields, most of them take the IIT-JEE exams. You might be looking into start from the last August, see what is the process, where's the application form and everything. If you're looking at probably law, again, you might be planning to look a bit earlier. If you are maybe looking for undergrad liberal arts degrees or humanities degrees, you can be a bit chill about it. Again, depends if you're targeting government university in India or a private university. So if you're targeting a private university like Ashoka or Flames, it's more like the Western concept where you have to apply early. I mean, the early action plan is there. You can apply from November, etc. You can complete your application, and then the interviews might be in January or something, and then you can get in, or they extend till April and May as well. So there's not much of an issue that way. But if you want to apply an early action plan, you can. If you're looking at government universities, their process is slightly at a later stages for humanities courses. So I'd suggest that you first decide the field. It's not something very uniform that that's running through. Second, a lot of these multi-disciplinary universities are also now, a lot of these very specialized universities are now also expanding into multidisciplinaries. So for example, the Indian Institute of Technology now has social sciences department, almost all of them. Similarly, the national universities are opening up technical departments. The IIT is also opening up medical school. So you can imagine there's a lot of multidisciplinary stuff going on.
Okay. And do international students have the opportunity of working alongside part-time whilst they are studying?
Yes. So international students can work alongside. There's not much of an issue as you have in the United States are all for foreign people to work in. You can take up internship. You're generally legally allowed to do that. There's no issue. You can work alongside. You can take up a legal intern. You can take up an internship or work opportunity, etc. There's no issue on that front. It's pretty chill that way. You don't have to be any all those legal boundaries, etc. You can start working up anywhere. No problems with that.
Okay. And after studies, what are some of the opportunities when it comes to, let's say, I want to stay back and then get some skills before coming back to my country? What are the chances and such opportunities?
Okay, so this depends on the field that you might be looking at. So for example, if you're talking about the medical sciences, you might do an MBBS or something from the AIMS or some good medical college. Post that, you can stay here for, you can get a PhD or postdoctoral study. So all these opportunities are available, and you can even maybe work if you're looking at the policy sector after doing your undergrad or master's or PhD. I mean, again, depends on whatever level you are. You can join a job, you can work at a think tank or policy segment or anywhere. You can work on more skills. You can take
Okay, so what are some of the cultural shocks that international students should expect coming to study in India?
Shocks would depend from country to country. For some countries, that might be a cultural shock. Some others, it might not. Anybody coming in from the West or Europe or America, most importantly, they would find India very cheap. I mean, not India cheap, but like the stuff, the cheap, so the cost of living. Cultural shock can be in terms of food. That's very spicy over here. That you'll find pretty interesting. The university that you are in might depend as to, so for example, in certain universities, so if I talk about say the gender differentiation, in certain universities you have male and female hostel blocks very separate, and people from one gender cannot enter the gender block of the other, like the block of the other gender, whereas in certain other universities it's fairly open. So again, it very much depends on which background one you're coming from. So you might be coming in from a country where it's very natural for people from different genders to have different hostel blocks or residence capacities, or you might be coming in from a country where that might be very anti-culture to you, and like people might be staying in the same blocks, or they might be very frequently moving into each other's block, and it's freely accessible. So again, it depends upon which country you're coming from. So that's one thing I would say. The food part, as I told you, it's very spicy. I mean, you get a lot of sweet food as well, and there's a lot of dishes. It depends. Again, India is a diverse country. It has different parts. Some part it's very spicy, some parts it's quite very less spicy. Food depends. I mean, you get a lot of variety of food, so that's not an issue. The culture part here, people respect their teachers a lot. I mean, that's a very strong part. Teachers also expect a lot of respect. So there's that sense of sincerity in classes that you can expect. It's not that free move around. Here, it's since there are a lot of people, so one, you might be put up by the population density at times, specifically if you're in North India, because there's simply a lot of people. So that can be one thing that you might find as a cultural shock. The dressing, so that there are a lot of cultural dresses. Women generally wear salwar, kurta, sarees, etc., which might be very different from the dress that you have in your town or city. The traveling part, again, so in a lot of Western countries, as far as I've seen, the transportation is very expensive. Same, I guess, might be the case with Africa. As far as I was talking to my friends from South Africa coming to take to our institution. But again, the transportation here in the public transportation specifically is very cheap. And if you're talking about the autos and everything, that they're fairly easily accessible in comparison to international rates. They're very cheap. So that way you'd be able to live off pretty well. You'd have a much higher standard of living, I can tell you that, with the same amount of expense that you might be doing. One, you'd find India very welcoming because we have a lot of diversity amongst ourselves as well. So we are very prone to diversity. I can tell you that we have tons of languages and dialects. I mean, we have 22 languages that are officially recognized. So while coming to India, you might think, okay, there's this one language, Hindi, that everybody might be speaking, but that's not the case exactly. You have people speaking tons of languages and everyone living together comfortably. Everybody, a lot of people. Yeah. One another thing is that you might find a lot of vegetarian restaurants. So vegetarianism is a big thing here. World's maximum number of vegetarians are here, mostly for religious reasons. But yeah, so I guess that are the things. But besides that, you'll have fun.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Can you quickly talk about the weather, the seasons you have, and what people should expect at each time within the year?
Okay. Again, the weather part, that's depend on which part of the India is huge in length and breadth. So if say you are in the coastal region, Mumbai or Bangalore, etc., you'll have pleasant weather throughout the year, neither too hot, neither too cold, around 20 to 30 degrees, that range. Maybe humid sometimes, but yeah, that's the case. You might have a rainy season where it might be hot. Say if you talk about Delhi and the northern India region, it's very hot in summers and very cold in winters. So it might be around 6 to 7 degrees at night, and maybe 10, 12 degrees in the day, that cold in winters. Or if you talk about summers, it might even cross 45 degrees generally. So that's what you can expect, a lot of variation in terms of temperature in northern India. South India, you'll find relative stability. Northeast India, these are mostly hilly regions, so the temperature is slightly less. It's around 20 to 25 degrees or 20 to 30 degrees that you'll generally found. Again, that's also dependent upon the terrain, the area that you're living in. The IITs are dotted across the country. So that's it, I guess.
Okay. Thank you so much for the information you've really shared in schools in India, and have a wonderful time there too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.